Hey everyone, welcome to this session on daily news analysis. Let's see what are the important news on January the 3rd. First news is very important. It's regarding demonetization. If you remember, that happened back in 2016. So the Supreme Court has said that there was nothing wrong, nothing unlawful with demonetization. There was a five-judge bench, the constitutional bench, that held that there is nothing unlawful. However, one judge, Justice B.V. Nagarthana, disagrees. One judge is giving the dissenting judgment. So the Supreme Court majority ruling finds no flaw in 2016 demonetization process. The sole woman judge of the five-member bench, Justice B.V. Nagarthana, disagrees with the majority, saying the union government's notification issued under Section 26(2) of the Reserve Bank of India Act was unlawful. So a majority of four judges on a constitutional bench of the Supreme Court found no flaw in the union government's process to demonetize 500 rupees and 1000 rupees banknotes through a gazette notification that was issued on November 8, 2016. So can it happen only through a gazette notification, or there is any other process involved that was not followed? That was the question. So the judges said that a gazette notification, there is nothing unlawful here. However, one judge disagreed. Let's see why. Justice B.R. Gavai, delivering the judgment for the majority, which included Justice Abdul Nazir, A.S. Bopanna, V. Ramasubramaniam, they pronounced that the statutory procedure under Section 26(2) was not violated merely because the center had taken the initiative to advise the central board to consider recommending demonetization. Differing, Justice Nagarthana said, the center could have issued a notification under Section 26(2) only if the Central Board of the RBI had initiated the proposal to demonetize a specific series of banknotes by way of a recommendation. Here, in 2016, the government had initiated the demonetization, not the Central Board, hence the problem. In case in which the government initiates demonetization, Justice Nagarthana said it should take the opinion of the Central Board. The opinion of the board should be independent and frank. If the board's opinion was in the negative, the center can instead go forward with the demonetization exercise, but only by promulgating an ordinance or by enacting a parliamentary legislation, which was not seen in this situation in 2016 demonetization. However, the judges have said that RBI was very much in loop and they had seen note ban as an opportunity. So the majority judgment of the Supreme Court details extensively the document that was placed on the record by the government to conclude that the central government of the Reserve Bank of India was very much in the loop before recommending demonetization, and the central board had found the proposal as an opportunity to further the financial inclusion. The top court has also said that the central board in its meeting on 8th November 2016 had held an elaborate discussion and found that the proposed step presents a big opportunity to take the process of financial inclusion further by incentivizing the use of electronic modes of payment. So they are saying that the RBI was very much in loop and there is nothing unlawful in this order. The online games must register with self-regulatory bodies, the draft rule has said. As you know that there are so many online games. Mostly these are based on uh, the wagering games that depends on the outcome, which team will win, and even the money is given on the basis of that. So any game that allows wagering on its outcome is effectively a no-go area, the ministers have said. Welcoming the publishing of the draft amendment, All India Gaming Federation says it believes that this is the first step for comprehensive regulation. So the Electronics and Information Technology Ministry has proposed an amendment to bring online gaming within the ambit of information technology, intermediary guidelines and digital media ethics code rules 2021. The proposal, released for public consultation, requires all online games to register with any self-regulatory bodies approved by the ministry. This model is similar to the rules in place for digital news sites and streaming services under the IT rules. Any game that allows or permits wagering on its outcome is effectively a no-go area. If you bet on the outcome of the game, it is prohibited. International Monetary Fund (MT) Georgieva has warned that global economy will face tougher year in 2023. It is essentially because the main three economies, that is the United States, China, and European Union, they are slowing down simultaneously at the same time. So she cautions that the Chinese government approach to reopening countries' economy will likely impact regional global growth negatively. So for much of the global economy, 2023 is going to be a tough year as the main engines of global growth, the US, Europe, and China, all experience weakening activity. This is said by the head of IMF. The new year is going to be tougher than the year we leave behind. The MD Kristalina Georgieva said on CBS, Face the Nation. Because the three main economies, US, EU, and China, are all slowing down simultaneously. Supreme Court has lodged the UP's plea against order on civic polls for January 4. This case raises the fundamental question whether the quota for political representations in urban self-government bodies can be equated with the reservations that we have in the higher education. So the court has agreed to list the case on Wednesday, an appeal filed by the Uttar Pradesh government challenging an Allahabad High Court direction to hold urban local bodies elections in the same state without reservation, in the state without reservation for the OBC. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud agreed to list the case early after Solicitor General Tushar Mehta for Uttar Pradesh made an oral mentioning for urgent hearing. The case raises the fundamental question whether quota for political representations in urban self-government bodies can be equated with reservation in higher education and public employment for social, educational, economic and backward classes. So can it be equated with the education, these elections, or there has to be a different parameters for that? That remains to be the same. Venezuela president says that he is willing to work at normalizing United States ties. So Venezuela president Nicolas Maduro, he said in an interview broadcast that he is willing to work towards normalizing relations with the US despite the continued sanctions that has crippled Venezuela. Mr. Maduro's remarks comes after the South American country opposition voted to dissolve an interim government which was led by Juan Guaido, who had been recognized by many countries as Venezuela's legitimate leader following the disputed 2018 elections. So the president says that Venezuela is ready, totally ready, to take steps towards the process of normalization of diplomatic, consular, and political relations with the current administration of the US and with other administrations to come. As I told you in the previous segment that India is to sign this agreement with Austria regarding uh, uh, all the migration and mobility. So in that it has been mentioned that exploding number of Indian illegal immigrants come to Austria. 2022 witnessed an exploding number of Indians who arrived at Austria's borders as illegal immigrations. So this has been said by the Foreign Minister of Austria, Alexander. He said the minister made the comment soon after the Indian and the Austrian teams signed a comprehensive migration and mobility partnership agreement that Alexander described as most important. Comprehensive Migration and Mobility Partnership Agreement is of strategic importance for many countries, for Austria. This is a sign of very intensified cooperation because last year Austria experienced the highest number ever of asylum seekers in Australia, over 100,000. Uh, and there were exploding number of Indians coming illegally via Serbia to Austria. China air incursions into Taiwan has doubled. So China's warplane incursions into Taiwan air's defense zone has nearly doubled in 2022, with a surge in fighter jet and bombers sorties as Beijing intensified threats towards the island's democracy. So Taiwan is self-ruled; it lives under constant threat of invasion. Communist Party rulers claim the island is part of China's territory and have vowed to seize it one day. Relations have been icy for years under President Xi Jinping, China's most assertive leader in a generation. So that conflict is going on. Same conflict is also going on in Russia and Ukraine, and Ukrainian rockets have strike has killed 63 Russian troops in Donetsk. So Russia's defense ministry has said that 63 Russian soldiers have been killed by a Ukrainian strike on a facility in the eastern Donetsk region where military personnel was stationed. The Ukrainian forces fired 6 rockets from HIMARS launch system and 2 of them were shot down. This was said in a statement. See, Russia has carried out airstrikes on Ukrainian powers and power and water supplies almost weekly since October. Ukrainian President Zelensky has accused Russia of energy terrorism, and the aerial bombardments have left many people without heat amid freezing temperatures. Moscow's full-scale invasion on February 24 has gone awry, putting pressure on Russian President Putin as his ground forces struggle to hold ground and advance. These were some important news for January 3. Let's quickly look at the highlights. The first news was that the Supreme Court has found that there was nothing unlawful with the demonetization that happened in 2016 through gazette notification, and RBI has seen the note ban as an opportunity. Online games must register with the self-regulatory body, the draft rule has said. The IMF MD, George Avia, has warned that global economy will face tougher year in the 2023. Supreme Court has listed UP's plea against order on civic polls for 4th of January, whether they can be equated with the reservation in higher education. And the Venezuela president says that he is willing to work at normalizing US ties. There have been exploding numbers of Indian illegal immigrants coming to Austria, and China's air incursions into Taiwan has doubled in 2022. Ukrainian rockets strike kills 63 Russian troops in Donetsk. Thank you so much. See you in the next section with the important news of January 4th.